press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace, you gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted, and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience under pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk, how you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. Bought my chicken and it's rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the rip and we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition, they ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing you. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk, how you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me or them, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are down and I dare to show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Hey, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? You can't see me. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Kendall's live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to have to do this on the shared screen as well, guys. But what is going on, Mafia? Bitcoin bing-bonging around here in that $115,000 zone. Are we holding our key level of support for a bigger move to the upside, guys? What is coming in here as we have FOMC on Wednesday, which I will be live streaming for you guys? Is this going to be the catalyst that we need to send Bitcoin into new all-time highs, or is it going to end up just being a fake out into one of our macro retracement levels for a massive drop down? I'm going to try to answer that question for you guys tonight. I'm going to give you guys all the key levels that I'm looking at, where I will be looking for some new trades as we try to figure out if we are entering the final phase of this bull market, or if the top is in on Bitcoin already, my less likely case. I'm going to try to break down kind of what, oh my God, are we frozen already? I'm going to let you guys know kind of what I'm looking at here next on Bitcoin. Hopefully, we could call these next moves so we could catch a nice trade. Still here long from about $107,000. Long position playing out beautifully, but, is this going to bring us into new all-time highs? That is the question that everybody sees. Or everybody has, I should say. But as we have FOMC, guys, this is potentially the most important week for crypto, in my own personal opinion, because obviously those rate cuts are very likely coming in. But is it going to be the narrative that we need to push us into new all-time highs, which I will still be looking at as kind of the final leg up on Bitcoin before seeing finally the altcoins follow closely behind? We have all the macroeconomic indicators, guys, giving us a perfect environment for an alt season. But will it actually play out? I think we will get the answer to that question on Wednesday. Hopefully, we could just get those rate cuts. Maybe they cut it a little more aggressively than you expect. Hopefully, we can get that to be the push to the upside. That is the most bullish scenario right now, is that the rate cuts just give us that push up into the new all-time high. We can get retail back in the market, which, by the way, guys, retail is not here yet. And I'll kind of cover that a little later in the live stream on, why I've covered it in the past, why that kind of makes me feel like maybe the top is not in just yet, and why I will be anticipating new all-time highs. It's just not really the environment and the sentiment that we see here at the top of a market. Everybody is just kind of sick of crypto here. We're not getting it's not just like endlessly bullish. Everybody's calling for higher prices. Typically, that is kind of the psychological situation that you'll see when the top is in. We do have a lot of things on our side here, guys. All the macroeconomic stuff still giving us a beautiful environment for a final blow off top for alt season to come in. But I'm going to try to give you guys the roadmap to what I am going to be expecting here on price action for Bitcoin. Where am I looking for new longs? Where am I looking for the shorts? We'll answer all those questions in tonight's stream show. Shout out to the Candle Mafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in here and hanging out with us, spending your your precious time with the Candle Mafia, the best crypto community on earth. Thank you guys for being here. We got Dizzy Gang in the chat. What is going on? Says, if we get no cut, we finna dump hard. Shout out to Dizzy Gang. I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree with that. Shout out to Dizzy Gang. Hopefully that is not the situation that we find ourselves in. And I'll show you some of the indicators on the chart, guys. As you know, money flow has been a bit chopped up here, but still got the daily and the 2-day money flow coming out. I am putting a little bit less weight on the money flow. I'm paying much more attention to the key levels as of right now because within our choppy price action that we've had money flow chop up a little bit. But I'll try to give you guys as best of a read as I can on Market Cypher. And of course, I'll break down my exact trading plan with you guys. TradeMate said 0.5 cut means the economy is in trouble, still going to drop before we top. Shout out to TradeMade. Yeah, and I'll talk about the more bearish situation if we see a big drop on Bitcoin. I'll kind of show you that line in the sand, or bring back up the line in the sand. It still does remain the same. It's the same exact level. But yeah, I'll kind of go over the scenarios with you guys and what I'll be personally anticipating. And we don't need to know exactly what is going to happen, guys, to make money in these markets. If we can catch even a small short position back to the downside, we can capitalize on that before seeing the bigger rise up. But I'll go over everything with you guys. It's been a few days. We went over the weekend. We got some stuff to look at here, but his 115K level, guys, is absolutely huge. So shout out to JR Ford. Welcome in. We got Baby G in the chat, formerly known as Baby Genius. Now he's just Baby G. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. He says, let's go, Frankie. Back to less than 109K. We'll talk about that scenario for sure today. I want to have you guys prepared for a potential drop down, but I do think we will, we may see a lot of chop here, guys, leading into FOMC. I think, we'll probably see the big move on FOMC if I had to guess, or shortly after potentially. Sometimes we see volatility on FOMC days like kind of be lackluster. We get a little wick down, a little wick up, and then we go sideways. I do think this is going to be one of those FOMCs that we are either going to get the explosion up or a big drop to the downside. I think this will be a catalyst for some kind of a big move to come into the market, which honestly, I'd rather go up, but if we got to move down, at least we'll get some kind of action here on the charts because it's been super choppy lately. Are we streaming the Fed meeting? Yeah, shout out to Andrew. We will be live for FOMC. So yeah, set it on your schedules. We will be live here, and we'll cover it live on the 1-second chart as we typically do. Let's see. So yeah, we got a lot to look at here, guys. I don't want to waste too much time with the housekeeping, but without further ado, don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate these daily live streams and urgent market updates to keep you guys updated on the market. Smash that like button. Let's go for 550 today. I think we can do it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. I'm going to disappear for a second, guys. I'm going to have to fix the settings. Oh, God, where's Frankie Candles? Oh, my God, here we are. Okay, so, guys, obviously, we have gotten the push up to our $115,000 key level of resistance. This is one of the biggest levels, or the biggest level that we have been looking at here on the chart. Tons of confluence up here. We have, obviously, just from a simple standpoint, before I bring up the actual levels, let me just bring this up from a volume profile perspective before we start looking at all the confluence, just to keep things nice and simple. I'll even take the anchored VWAP off the chart here. So, obviously, guys, we had all this crazy choppy price action down here. Oh, my God, we're going up. Never mind. Oh, my God, we're going up. Never mind. Oh, my God, we're going up, right? Just super, super choppy price action here. But yes, last week, we did get the flip of support here on our key level of resistance on these structural highs / anchored VWAP when pulled from the all-time highs. One of the big levels that we looked at last week. Whoops. Come on. Give me that candle. There we go. So you have the structural highs here. You have the value area high. You have the anchored VWAP. This was the level that we were looking to flip into support in order to push us up to that big key level at $115,000, which is literally where we're sitting right now. Now, you can see we actually did flip this level to support almost perfectly. Well, the anchored VWAP is sitting right there. Flip it to support. And, over the past couple of weeks, I have pretty much just been sitting in my long position down here from $107,000, which is now nicely in profit. But, I was kind of talking to you guys all down here, like, unless we get a sweep of 107K or we get a push into 115K, I am kind of just sitting here holding my long position. And, of course, I am still holding the position. I'll just show it here, pretty much in the same exact situation we were last week, right? Got about $1,000 locked in, still got about $2,500 unrealized here. And we'll talk about the possibility of seeing this continue to the upside. We have two major key levels that I'm looking at on the chart here, guys, at least locally, where I think price will go next and where I'll be interested in some reactions and potentially new trades. But finally, we've gotten out of this chop. We finally have seen this push into the $115,000 key zone of resistance. You guys know we had the, I took the daily MPOC off the chart, but we had a weekly MPOC, which is still there, right? So we have the weekly MPOC, the value area low. We have the monthly MPOC in there as well. And then we also, of course, had that monthly horizontal level, right? So this zone was that big zone of resistance, and this still does remain the key level, guys, that we must get above in order to open up the door to our next key level of resistance, sitting at about $118,000. And from a very, very simple perspective here, guys, let's stay on top of this value area low. As long as we don't lose this, we could potentially push into the POC, but I am a little bit, when we take a look at market cipher B, you'll see why I am open to some more drops to the downside, at least leading into FOMC. But just to give you guys kind of those major zones, right? We have the area balance here. We impulsed out. Now we are starting to play around with this area. So just from a simple standpoint, we want to stay above this value area low in order to see that $118,000 level. Is this probable? Well, we'll take a look at market cipher B in just a minute. But that's kind of where we're sitting. Finally got this first big level. Finally, that first TP. You guys know I took forever to take profit on this long position because I was waiting for that $115,000 level. But now that we've tapped that, I have taken that profit. And, at this point, guys, the question is, are we finally, right? We have two massive levels above us. We have the point of control and the value area high sitting. POC sits at about $118,279. Value area high sits at $120,200. And, shout out to Solana as well, guys. If you guys were watching the live streams last week, you will know we were looking for that value area high to get tapped. And just a quick little teaser here. Value area high tapped pretty much to the dollar here. So I'll cover this as well. Very nice to see Solana hit that final target, but it's kind of the same thing here, guys. The hope here is to stay inside this profile. Again, we have daily money flow coming out. We also have a red dot printing on the daily with 90-minute money flow coming into the red. This is a market cipher B bearish setup, which could indicate a little bit more of a pullback. How low am I willing to come before looking for another big bounce to the upside? But to be quite honest, guys, I'm going to expect a lot of like wonky chop leading up to FOMC. We've already hit our first major target. I still don't have a stop loss set on that long position, but I'm really far away from my entry here, so I'll probably set it at break even at some point. But are we going to hold this level and just shoot up into this POC? Obviously, based off the laws of the volume profile, this would be something that you could look at, but I am a little bit cautious here for a few different reasons, right? This is not just a value area low. Again, we have the weekly, the monthly MPOC. A lot of confluence here, right? This is still the biggest level of resistance on the chart, in my opinion, right? We have to hold above this level. And the one reason why I'm a little bit suspicious of potentially losing this range and coming back for a little bit more of a retracement is because we do have the daily red dot printing on market cipher B in all of its glory here. Well, I shouldn't say in all of its misery here. Daily red dot printing with our 90-minute money flow crossing into the red. This could indicate that we are going to look for a continuation of the downtrend, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, potentially pushing us down to some of these other key levels of support. Obviously, we do have the value area high here at about $113,000. And we do have some confluence down here that I will be looking at. I'll show you guys in just a minute. But it's kind of hard to say, right? At this moment, we're above the value area low. But with this 90-minute money flow coming out with that daily red dot, I am going to be aware of potential lower highs and lower lows to come in. Now, this would not necessarily mean to me that we are going down forever. Remember, this is FOMC week. We can see potential corrections leading up into FOMC, and then maybe we could get some bounces here on the FOMC news, right? And then maybe that gives us that bigger push to the upside. But as far as the trades, guys, holding my long from $107,000, the next major zone of resistance is obviously going to be sitting, that's the wrong range, obviously going to be sitting up here at about 117.5 all the way up to 118.5, right? We all know volume profiles, the law of the volume profile states if you are able to hold above here, which again, I am a little bit suspicious of because of our 90-minute money flow, but if we are able to hold on top of here and get that push, the $118,500 level, these are the two biggest levels on the chart as of right now. If we can hold on top of 115K, these are the big levels to look at, because if we are going to get a fake out here, right? Because the question is FOMC going to be the catalyst that we need to send Bitcoin into new all-time highs, get the alts to follow, and, it's all gravy, right? We get that big final parabolic move on Bitcoin, shooting into, in my opinion, about the 130,000s. Maybe we can get retail to funnel back in here, because retail is still nowhere to be seen here, guys. I was looking at the Bitcoin search term analytics. Retail is nowhere to be seen, right? I think Coinbase is still like way down the ranks in the App Store, which is kind of why, right? Like, we didn't really see massive euphoria on this all-time high. When the actual top comes in, very oftentimes the psychology of the market is extremely bullish, right? You have everyone looking for higher prices, golden bull market, never going back down, $1 million for Bitcoin, alts are going to the moon, everything is going up. That's really where you want to start getting concerned, but we did not see that come in here. And we still obviously do not have that happening right now. So, I would say from a psychological standpoint, it's not very indicative of a top, right? Doesn't mean it's impossible. And that's why, I want to talk about these two big levels, because these are the last levels that if we are with our daily money flow coming out, not only the daily money flow, guys. You can see the daily money flow continuing into the red with that fresh red dot. You also have the 2-day money flow, come on, continuing to the downside here. VWAP rolling over. Yes, it is coming up locally here, guys, but if this VWAP rolls to the downside and gives us a red dot, this could just potentially be another lower high to continue that overall downtrend. And from this perspective, guys, you have to be aware of macro lower highs for lower lows, whether it comes in from where we are now or the golden pocket or 786. These are the biggest levels to look for those lower highs to come in at. So even on FOMC, if we push into these levels, guys, we still have to be very careful of resistance based off this high time frame money flow. You're still kind of hoping for a complete fake out on your 2-day money flow. You're complete, well, not, I wouldn't say a complete fake out, but you need this money flow to come back into the green as we push up through this profile. So, as much as I would like to say they're going to cut rates tomorrow and we're going to yeet on off into all-time highs, I would love to say that, but, unless this money flow really starts to shape up, we still have to be aware of those lower highs and lower lows coming in on our major Fibonacci retracement levels. And then I would say personally, if we can get above the POC, this is where I start to feel a little bit better about seeing new all-time highs come in. And the reason for that is because we do have a lot more confluence on the we do have a lot more confluence here on the point of control than we do on the 786, right? So like when I look at this, massive resistance level here with all that confluence. We have another massive resistance level with all that confluence. But you can see up here at the 786, it's pretty much just the value area high and the 786. I'm sorry, golden pocket. Did I say 786 here? Obviously, this is a golden pocket. But we have a lot of confluence here. We have a lot of confluence here. Not as much confluence here, right? So, at that point, right, very similar to back here, last time we put in new all-time highs, we knew that the biggest level of resistance was that point of control, which meant, right, if we get above that POC, we're going to be looking for all-time highs. And we did end up getting that, right, before we shorted it back down. But it's kind of a similar situation here, except we have two major levels, right? We have this one, right, massive confluence down here, and we also have a ton of confluence here. So step number one, get above 115K. That's kind of the first sign of strength, in my opinion, to see 118K. And then once we flip this, I will start to feel a bit better. We could still look for shorts at the 786, and technically this is an area where you could put in a massive lower high. But you're above all this resistance, right, turning it into support. You're also above all this resistance, turning it into support. So I would say if we can get above 118.5 and hold it, I really start to feel a lot better about all-time highs coming in, because then you only have that one last level to get above, which is the 786. Sure, we have this daily MPOC, but again, it is all by its lonesome, right? It's really the big areas of confluence that you're going to be expecting rejections at, right, or bounces at, right, which would be here and here. There's not a ton of confluence here, and there's literally no confluence here. So, 118.5 is really, first sign of strength. That opens the door to 118.5. Once we flip this, it starts to look a little bit better for all-time highs, as long as you don't get that last little rejection here, which we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But, just be aware, 118.5 to 120,000 are going to be those big levels, right? What does money flow look like up here? What does the order flow look like up here? If it looks good for a short, we will take that in the premium Discord. But hopefully the idea here, I would say the line in the sand to really expect all-time highs is going to be flipping that 786 as always, right? It was the same level here. Get above the 786, look for all-time highs. We obviously got a little bit of a failed auction there for a drop back down, which obviously we did short, but this is really the line in the sand. $120,800, same level we looked at last week. Flipping that to support would indicate, in my opinion, that you will see all-time highs. And it's not just the rate cuts coming down, guys. It's all the macroeconomic indicators we've been talking about, right? Obviously, rate cuts is one of those big things. We have the RTY breaking out. I'm not even really going to show that chart today. We have the Bitcoin dominance still showing massive signs of weakness. Yes, you could get the bounces to the upside, but from a trend perspective, right, you have the 3-day money flow crossing into the red. In my opinion, guys, I mean, this still looks like a weak trend, meaning any bounces are going to be looked at as lower highs and lower lows, which is good for alt season. RTY breakout, good for alt season. Rate cuts, good for alt season, right? We have all these things lining up, and we are definitely in an environment to see this happen. So that's kind of where my base case is. On top of that, we are holding above our major key level of support, which is the $107,000 golden pocket, bull market support band, etc. Again, I don't want to cover this too much because I don't want to be super repetitive, but it is important to understand, right? Like, this is still the biggest level of support to stay above. And just to pull up that bull market support band so you can see it, right? Bull market support band came in there. So, like, massive support. This had a big reason. This was a big reason why we were looking for those long positions, right? It's too late to short here. We shorted at the all-time high. Down here, it's too late to short. You can only look for long positions, which obviously played out very nicely so far. But it's a massive level of support. And as long as we could stay above this, I would say, there is a possibility of seeing those all-time highs. Once we start, if we get another drop to the downside, and I'm going to cover the local levels as well as like the lines in the sand here. But if we did get a pullback, right, leading up to FOMC, I would like to see higher lows and higher highs. But If we get a drop down below 107K, guys, this still remains the biggest level that I want to stay on top of. Losing this golden pocket is still going to be looked at as a major sign of weakness on Bitcoin, in my opinion. It could open up the door for a much, much bigger crash towards about $96,000 to $97,000 if we are unable to hold the 786 at 104K. So right now, I am simply sitting in my long position. I may take a short here. I'm not talking about right this second, but if we get a setup here, I may still look for a short position here. I've already taken a stab at a short here, stopped out for a very small loss, I think, maybe break even. But we're still within our major level of resistance, right? So if we can't hold on top of this value area low, could get a little bit of a pullback, especially with the daily red dot 90-minute money flow crossing over into the red. I'm not holding that position right now. I have not entered it. But if I get pushed up into some of our local levels of resistance, I may look to take a little bit of a head short there. But at the end of the day, if we stay in here, the next big level, POC. Let's see if we can make it up here, $118,000. Now, if we take a look at our liquidation heat maps real quick, bada boom. Let me just bring this up real quick. Whoops. Whoa. Everybody calm down. So yeah, liquidity sitting up here starting at about 116,000, pretty much above this previous high, 116,300, leading all the way up into 118.5. Well, that is very interesting because this is pretty much above this high, leading into 118.5, right into this area of resistance. So you have liquidity sitting up here, and then the next area of liquidity that we have is simply sitting just below us, leading into about $112,000. And this does line up with some support that we have that I will be looking at. But for me personally, I'm holding my long from the low, very beautiful, and I'm going to be simply waiting for that $118,500 level to get tapped, right? Or this zone, right? The top of the zone is 118.5. So my next short's going to be looked at up here, and then unless I take another local short in here with the premium Discord. Again, I have not entered that just yet, but just to warn you guys, if you come on tomorrow and we're down here and I'm short, there might be a setup to be had here, but we will be looking for those confirmations in the Discord. However, if we do get another pullback here, I want to show some local levels of support that we can look at. I would be okay, right? When we look at that liquidation heat map, where's that liquidity sitting? Well, it starts here at about 113.3, 113.4, call it, all the way down to about 111,420, right? Now, we do have some key levels of support here. We have the value area high. We have the golden pocket and the 786, and we have the anchored VWAP pulled all the way from the low here. So this is going to be local support. Major levels, 118, right? And then 107K. Again, massive, massive high time frame levels. But locally, if we just want to cool off a little bit on our way to FOMC, right, scare people out before the good news comes in and gives us another push up, I will be looking at this zone sitting between $113,000 to $112,000. Golden pocket, 786, value area high, and this anchored VWAP. This would be a very, very nice level to come down, retest, put in a higher low before another higher high comes in. So these are the key levels, right? From a medium time frame perspective, again, unless I see these confirmations to take the short up here, maybe we do that, maybe we don't. But for me personally, if we get a pullback, I will be most interested in this level. We do have a daily MPOC and a weekly MPOC sitting right here at 114,250. I just, there's confluence here. I don't know. I'm not as interested in this as I am in this, right? I can't guarantee that this is not going to happen, but yeah, I would have to see some really nice confirmations down here, to be quite honest. So, below us, 114,250 down to 113 and 112,000. These are the biggest levels to look at below us. Once we lose $112,000, this is where I'm probably going to anticipate a much bigger drop down on Bitcoin, at least to the value area low at 110K. We can reassess the situation at that point. Is this somewhere where we could put in a higher low and a higher high? I would say yes if we pull our full golden pocket from the low all the way to the high. You can see we have 786 confluence on this weekly MPOC. You also have some confluence here on the golden pocket point of control. But I would much prefer hold this level, to be honest, right? Because once you lose this 786, well, hey, now you're back inside your range. POC is very likely. You lose the POC, go back down to the value area low. And as always, I would much rather take a long from the value area low rather than the point of control. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Until we get down here or up here, I am still sitting on my hands waiting for this long to continue to play out, unless I get the short entry up here. But again, we'll have to look for those confirmations in the Discord. Nothing really here just yet. as we play around with this key level support. Bitcoin is on the edge, guys. I say this a lot in the thumbnails, like Bitcoin, moment of truth. But with FOMC coming down the line here, with everything set up for a potential move up, it really is the line in the sand. And when we look here at the higher time frames, like even the 4-hour time frame, even this money flow is so chopped up, man. Money flow has been brutal the past couple of weeks. I would say this is generally trending out. Starting to get a little bit of a spike back up here. But again, this could just continue down. So we're going to have to play this level to level, in my opinion. I'm sitting on my hands. If we hit up here, my alerts will go off. I will be looking for the short position. If we come down here, my alerts will go off. I will be looking for the long position. Does it mean that once you come down to this level, you're just taking a long position? You got to find those confirmations. We look at those in the premium Discord. But if we get them, you bet your bottom dollar I'll be looking for a long position. Just like down here. We get those confirmations, I'm looking for the long position. If we didn't get the long position, or if we didn't get the long confirmations, what would we have looked for? A drop down to that 786. And I would still say, guys, the golden pocket at 107,500 or these lows at 107K, we lose this, guys. I'm looking at that as a massive sign of weakness on Bitcoin. As I've been saying every single live stream for the past, I can't even tell you how long. We lose this level, guys. It's not looking good for Bitcoin, which is why I really hope if we have to come down, we hold that 112K level to continue up. Because we start breaking back down here. I'm not saying you can't bounce from here. I'm not saying you can't bounce from the 786, but we lose this. That is the first major sign of weakness on Bitcoin, and I start to really get concerned. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with that. But this is, these big levels all remain the same. This is kind of why I'm praying for a move on Bitcoin. Like, do something, man. Either rip the Band-Aid off or send us up, because this price action is absolutely brutal. It took so long to wait for this to play out. Inside here is such chop. It's almost untradeable. I think we took like 2 scalps in here. Other than that, right, just really waiting for the bigger levels to get hit. Let's see here. Yeah, shout out to Priyochi. Says, Frankie, by this point, aren't the 0.25 rate cuts already priced in? People know about it. Yes. This is kind of, this is what I've been thinking about, right? Like this push to the upside could have been fueled off that thought process of this could be pricing in those rate cuts already. So, again, it's like, is it going to be the catalyst? Maybe he comes up there and he cuts rates more, right? Maybe then we could more likely see a scenario where it just pushes us up. Excuse me. But if we start pushing up against these major levels of resistance, guys, and it's a 0.25% cut, and we wind up getting the bearish confirmations here, it's not impossible to get the bigger drop down. Again, it's not until we lose 107K where I really start to worry about the health of the overall trend up. But 100%, I would say this is probably priced in. So, best case scenario, he cuts it more. That'd be great. I don't know if he's going to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, I would say, a lot of this can be priced in already, which is why we are waiting and ready to pull the trigger on the shorts if we push into these key levels with confirmations. And again, we'll cover that live, right? I always say we'll cover this when price action develops. We'll literally be watching it develop in real time. So we'll see. Maybe we'll catch that trade live. Who knows? Weekly green dot looking to print on Bitcoin. Yeah, shout out to Dart A. Actually, is it not printing anymore? It was print. Yeah, so it is printing here on the weekly. Again, Market Cipher B has been a little bit chopped up based off just the kind of wonky price action we've had. It will kind of cut up the indicators and make them a little bit harder to read. It's just a situation you have to deal with in the market. Doesn't mean, Market Cipher doesn't work anymore or anything like that. It's just, it makes it a little bit hard. You look at the 16-hour. I mean, look at this money flow, guys. I mean, this is just, you're in the green, you're in the red, you're in the green, you're in the red, you're in the green. Try to go back in the red. Now you're back in the green. Now you're coming back out. This is just totally chopped up. You do have the weekly green dot looking to print. I will say this 10-hour and 16-hour, right, more the 10-hour, this green dot printing, if we can get that 10-hour green dot to print, what does this look like, right? We could potentially put in that bearish divergence, which would call for a break of structure to the upside. And we use this same technique to call this higher high on price action back here on the 4-hour, right? We look at the 4-hour time frame. We say to ourselves, hey, we have the low, the high. Can we put in a higher low? Well, the money flow on the 4-hour was in the green, meaning you could put in a higher low and a higher high. And the way this money flow looked, the way these momentum waves looked like you could print a 4-hour bearish divergence, which made us anticipate a crack of structure to the upside here. And that's exactly what we got by front-running those Market Cipher B momentum waves. So on the 10-hour, we can get that 10-hour green dot. I mean, could give you the higher high on price, unfortunately, right into a key level of resistance. But if we get that green dot and price starts pushing up, you might be able to get that 10-hour bearish divergence, which would give you the higher high into 118.5. Right? Or, 117.5 to 118.5. So again, you might say to yourself, like, there's so many things that could play out here. Like, how does this help, right? Well, simply put, right? Like, I'm just waiting for this level for another trade, right? Other than that, I'm holding my long down here. There's like not a ton of crazy good opportunity inside these ranges, at least this specific range. Usually there is good opportunity within ranges, but within the chop, right? Like I just calmly held my long here, waiting for this to continue to play out, either hitting 115 or coming to sweep down 107K, right? But like right now, I'll be honest, I don't really see, I'm not super interested in new trades down here. You could say to yourself, well, hey, we're back inside the range. We retest the value area low. I'm going to try to long it to the POC. That's fine. But I just, with the daily money flow and the 90-minute money, with the daily red dot and the 90-minute money flow coming out, I just don't know how interested I would personally be in that, right? My long is from down here. So I'm still exposed to that upside, but it's just not as low probability or high risk as trying to enter a trade right up here after we've already gotten a big move up. So for new long position, for me, I would need some kind of a bigger pullback, but hopefully, preferably into $113,000 to $112,000, right? Into that golden pocket, 786 anchored VWAP, right? So like I'm most interested in another bounce from here. I can't promise we're going to come down there, but luckily I don't really have to worry about that because if we just bounce off this weekly and daily MPOC, well, I'm still exposed for my long down here. So kind of a cushy position to be in, right? Like I don't have to panic on any of the dumps. But yeah, for me, if I were going to look for a new long position or maybe even compound my long position, it would have to be down here personally. Doesn't mean you can't bounce off the daily and the weekly here. Doesn't mean you can't hold this value area low and come up. But with the things I just explained on Market Cypher B, I am going to be a little bit more vigilant for a drop to the downside. And if it doesn't play out, well, that's fine, right? Because I'm still covered on the long position up here. And that will just be my next target, right? First major target on this trade at the end of the day was the value area low. And then after that, it's going to be the POC. And then if we get above that POC, we could look for the value area high and potentially new all-time highs. But until then, guys, we're just going to have to sit here. I would say this, right? We talked about the failed auction here on the previous all-time high. We obviously took this short in the premium Discord. We were looking at the break of this high as a confirmation of the failed auction. And you might say to yourself, what the heck is a failed auction, Frankie? It's very similar to a swing failure pattern, right? It is with a swing failure pattern, you were looking for a wick above the level and then a candle closure below. But sometimes you do not get that on an executable time frame like the 30-minute or 1 hour. And what a failed auction is pretty much the elongated version of an SFP, right? Instead of getting the wick above on your 1 hour candle and the closure down below for the trigger to enter the trade, the failed auction, you could kind of come up and bing bong around that level a little bit, but then once you lose your key SFP level, right, that is looked at as a failed auction, a failure to trade above that certain level, and a much bigger drop to come in. It's the same thing as an SFP, it's just a little bit longer. And we actually had a couple levels that we were looking at here. We had a daily MPOC up here as well. I think the daily MPOC was like right here. So when we looked at this, right, it was like, hey, guys, we don't have a low time frame SFP, but if we wind up losing this daily MPOC or this previous high, I would look at that as a failed auction for a massive drop down. And we did take that trade and we cashed in on it, right? It's very similar to what we have happening here at 115K. Right? We had major resistance, and what is happening here? I would say this key level is really sitting right here. Right? It's all the confluence here with the weekly MPOC, the monthly MPOC, the value area low. We get above that level. We try to trade above it, right? But if we wind up losing this and we can't get back above, that could be looked at as a failed auction, which would cause a much bigger drop to the downside, hopefully targeting 113 to 112K. Especially with the daily red dot, the 90-minute money flow crossing over into the red, the 4-hour money flow attempting to come out here. I'm just glad that I am not forced to try to find a long position here. I'm glad that I'm holding my long from 107K. It just shows not only like why it's better to enter trades as price is dumping, but it's just like it gives you that calm kind of scenario, right? Like you're not looking at, oh my God, I need to long, right? Why? Because I was longing when everybody was afraid, right? So I'm sitting on my hands here, guys. If we don't hit up here or we don't hit down here, these are the next places I'm looking for the trades to keep it nice and simple. If we catch this failed auction, I will look for it. We have some, I have some confirmations that I'll be looking for to take that trade. But yeah, I mean, you got the bearish set up on Market Cypher. You have this potential failed auction opportunity. Lose these levels, right? Sure, you have the weekly and daily MPOC down here. So even that, right? Like if I take a short here, it'll be very low risk in case we do bounce there. That's fine. I have the long from lower, very well hedged. But yeah, I mean, you really want to stay on top of here because if you break down, it's looking a lot more like a failed auction in my opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully every bearish scenario that I have here just gets scooped to the upside and we just rip. But you can't just ignore the daily red dot. You can't just ignore the 90-minute money flow coming out. You can't ignore the 2-day money flow coming out with the 2-day VWAP rolling over. So Yeah. I would say that if there's one time frame that looks like he can make it up to 118.5, I would say it's the 10-hour. We'll see what that 10-hour red green dot gives us, because that would be nice for a little higher high on price action. Does set you up for a very savage drop from that POC, though. So, yeah. Man. Bitcoin, it's a pucker fest, guys. It is an absolute nail-biter here, in my opinion. But again, macro markets all look like we're ready for that move up. I'll be honest. Like, if I had to go from a chart perspective, right, like, even if you take a look at, like, total 3 or, like, even total 2, right, let's pull up the weekly time frame, right? Like, total 2 tapping on the door here. We had the pushed all the way up here to about 1.74 trillion, right? Like, this is tapping on the door. We have Ethereum's chart looking very good. We have Solana finally getting its move into that final target, which obviously, if you guys watched the live streams last week, we had many targets we were looking at to the upside, 3 to be exact. We had the daily and the monthly targets here. As we were above that POC, we said, hey, doorways open to our next major targets. Monthly being the next one here at 231.31. We get above that monthly, we flip it to support in the most beautiful manner ever. Next target becomes the daily. You tap around on this daily. You're able to hold it as support, making your next and final target the value area high at 248.57, right? And here we are. What are we rejecting from right now? Literally directly from that value area high. And when we got rid of these upper targets, just to clarify and simplify the chart for you guys, the fulfill of this volume profile was very high probability. You get above the value area low, POC is next. As long as you're able to remain in the range, the doorway to the POC is open. And then once you flip that POC, you're eventually going to expect that value area high to come in, with the monthly and the daily being those kind of like intermediary targets. But at the end of the day, that final target is always going to be that value area high. And we have now filled that range in full. And I'll be honest, I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today. I was kind of mad that I wasn't watching this as we tapped in here on Sunday. Like, textbook value area trade here. Beautiful bearish divergences on almost every single time frame. You have the 4-hour bear div, higher highs, lower highs, into your key level of resistance where you are always going to be looking for shorts. Even if you're bullish on Solana, this is not a place to look for a long. This is the place to look for the short, even if it is to put in a higher low and a higher high to break out. 4-hour bearish divergences. I mean, you had every signal here. 5-hour bear div. I think you even had like an 8-hour bear div here potentially. Now 8-hour red dot. 6-hour bearish divergence. I mean, almost every time frame gave you these beautiful bearish divergences with money flow coming out. So if you're scared of Solana pulling back here, just understand, right? We had gotten that full fill of the range, and we're rejecting off the value area highs, which is not super unexpected, right? Volume profiles will change your life, guys. But either way, Solana doing very good. Ethereum, weekly money flow, still in the green here with the VWAP attempting to come up. Like, this still looks pretty good to me. Solana still looks pretty good to me. Bitcoin dominance still looks super bearish, which is good for the altcoins. And if these all look good, if Ethereum looks good, if Solana looks good, if Bitcoin dominance looks bearish, guys, it's very likely, especially with rate cuts coming down the line, that this could eventually leak into the altcoins. It doesn't have to happen on Wednesday. It could happen a month after. It sometimes takes a little bit of time for those rate cuts to trickle their way into the markets. But this is the macroeconomic environment to facilitate something like an alt season and a blow off top on Bitcoin. We just got to get above those macro Fibonacci retracements on Bitcoin. And then once we get above that 786, I am saying to myself personally, let's send this thing into that final parabola. Let's get the altcoins to pop, and let's wrap this thing up, right? Let's make a bunch of money on those altcoins. It's what everybody comes here for. And then we'll start talking about, I'm just going to preface this. Once we start getting up there, guys, I am switching to straight defense, looking to take profits, at least on Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high, I'm not going to say, once you break into new all-time highs, a lot of people are going to think that's the start of the bull market. Not in my opinion. I think whether the top is in here or we go into another high, I think we are closer to the top than a lot of people may think. Is it where everyone's going to start saying, infinite bull market, golden bull market, it's never going down, 500K incoming, oh my God, right? And those are the dips that you don't want to buy. Guys, buy it. We're finally in the bull market. You're an idiot if you don't buy the bull market dips. It's like, the bull market dips here, guys, we're down here, right? In my opinion, right? Even down here. But, if we have that sentiment, right, then we would have a lot more indications that the top is in, right? Because you're in that parabolic top. Retail is back. Things are going crazy. People think it's never going back down. The altcoins are exploding. Buy the dip. In my opinion, that is the scenario where you have to start being very careful, right? Especially towards the end, you start seeing the meme coins go crazy, the low cap altcoins. That is where you could start to say, I think that might have been the top on Bitcoin, right? We were not having that experience up here, right? So psychologically, it did not feel like a macro top. Doesn't mean it's not, but it did not feel like that. But it would just make a lot of sense, right? Everyone just comes funneling back in. It's never going back down. That would be what you're looking at for a top. Just like in 2021, guys. It's all the same thing, right? Oh, my God. 100K incoming. Bitcoin's more fundamentally bullish than ever. 100K is impossible not to hit. What happens? Bear market, right? Massive euphoria, right? Much more clear that it would be the top, right? So, yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. Not much has changed long-term. Short-term, watch 112,000 to 113,000 to the downside, and then to the upside, 117.5 to 118.5. Honorable mention, daily and weekly MPOCs at 114,250. There you go. Mark those down. If you didn't understand anything I just said, mark down those three key zones. 1, 2, 3. Honorable mention, major level, major level. So there you go. I'm going to jump into chat real quick here. Preach, Frankie. Shout out to Bear Market Blues, brother. Shout out to you, man. Let me take a sip of this Aztecian Cactus H2O. Just regular water tonight, guys. Got the short on Soul, Frankie. Thank you. Shout out to Perry. Let's go. Perfect example of somebody who takes what we talk about and brings it into their own analysis and takes advantage of the information. Shout out to Perry. Hopefully you're up nice on that trade, bro. Beautiful volume profile trade, even from an educational standpoint, guys. You know, again, taking all the intermediary. I know we look at, like, I try to be as accurate as possible, right? Bringing up the monthly, the daily, right? Right, bringing up these targets, right? We're above the POC, guys. Once you flip that POC, next likely place for price to go eventually is that value area high. You flip the low, POC is next. Once you flip the POC, value area high is next. This is volume profile theory. This will change your life. But you got to be patient, and you can't get shaken out if there's no technical reason to freak, right? Right, it's like, oh my God, we're dumbing back. Like, you have to understand, you have to zoom out, go up to the higher time frames, and just understand the macro theory here is that this volume profile will eventually fill. You could get scary pullbacks. POC, oh my God, back down to 0. Nope. You fill the range anyway, right? But, you know, obviously we did have these local targets, right, which again, were not for nothing. You flip the monthly to support, daily is next, but overall, right, even if you're not looking at every single level as a trader would, like we do, you're just looking at that volume profile. Like, once you get above here, hit that POC, like, you're looking for that to eventually fill in full. And we've been talking about this for a while. Like, this volume profile, honestly, was not very well respected because we got up here, front ran the POC, back down. Got back in, front ran the POC, back down. Then finally we got in there, POC tapped, you remain in the range, and then you fill the profile. So it can be very messy and confusing. But, like, just straight volume profile theory, and that would have been a beautiful short. That would already be up, right? Now, I did not take this trade. You'd be up 5%, 6% right now on that short position, and every reason in the world to enter that trade, right? You have the like textbook, guys. If you don't understand the more advanced techniques that we use, such as order flow, maybe you don't even understand all the key levels, SFPs, liquidity, all that stuff. If you don't understand all that, just understand more often than not, if you're at a value area high, especially a high time frame value area high like this, and you're getting those bearish divergences into the value area high, there's a very high probability. This is where you want to look for shorts, that you're going to get some kind of a drop to the downside. And guess what? If this is going to be another full rotation, which hopefully I pray to God it's not, if this is going to just be another full rotation, just like when you get above the low, go to the POC, go to the high, if you're going to get that same rotation back down to the POC, lose the POC, go back down to the low, well, hey, if you take that trade, right, this is why I love the volume profiles. Let's say you're looking at this, say on Sunday, right? Is that where we hit that? 8 p.m., right? You come and tap this. You have the bearish divergences. Let's say you catch an entry like right here, stop loss above the high. Your eventual target can be the POC, right? Doesn't mean you have to get down there, but there's going to be local levels to look at as well. I mean, right now, hey, we're holding the daily, right? Like, this would not, shout out to Perry, was it Perry or Pose? Not a bad place, in my opinion, to maybe lock in some profits, make your next target the POC, move your stop loss to break even. Now it's a guaranteed winning trade. If this thing, which, by the way, with the daily red dot printing and the 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, is going to give you the continuation of the downtrend, well, beautiful, right? You're safe here. Your stop loss is at break even. You've already taken money off the table. If it yeets off into all-time highs, you get stopped out for profit. If it winds up continuing down, which would be the anticipation here based off market cipher, well, hey, you can just chill in that risk-free, guaranteed winning position and just look for that next target to be the POC. And then you could take some more profit. And at the end of the day, again, I hope this isn't the case. I'm not saying this is the highest probability, but if you take some profit there, you could even move your stop loss into profit. Right? Maybe you put it, whatever, above this high or something like that. And then if it continues to play out, you could just simply target, hey, if I lose this POC, why close that trade? I might as well let it play down to the value area low for another full fill of the range. Again, I'm not saying that's high probability to see this happen, but just from a simple volume profile perspective, this is why it is so important, right, or so beneficial to just like pay attention to the macro value area highs and the macro value area lows. When we get back down here, guess what I would be looking for? Probably long positions to fill that range again. Again, hopefully we don't have to come all the way back down there. I actually would not like to see that. But just to show, right? Like just very clean, simple bearish divergences, and you at least get some kind of a pullback. Even if it doesn't hit the POC, you're still got plenty of room to move your stop loss to break even and lock in some profit and guarantee some money, right? So yeah, can't stress that enough, guys. Volume profiles will change your life. I will say that every day I have this YouTube channel. Shout out to Rudy, said, Frankie, you're scaring me. I am not expecting that to be the case. It's definitely in the cards here based off volume profile theory, but it doesn't mean that you have to do that. Just keep that in mind, right? Eventually, this thing is going to break out, right? Hopefully. Like, look at Bitcoin, right? Just to kind of, like, show you an example of that, right? Let's pull up Bitcoin on, right? Let's look at this macro profile, right? All right, so you got the acceptance into the range, POC, value area low. You lose the value area low, right? You come back up, you flip the low, you're looking to go to the POC, you flip the POC, you look to go to the value area high. Did you have bearish divergences here? Yes. Higher highs, lower highs. This is on the daily time frame. You expect a pullback, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to go all the way back down to the low, right? And in this case, we actually were not expecting to go back down to the low because we were expecting the higher time frame trend to continue up based off money flow. So you could see something similar. Like you look at this as the macro profile on Solana, right? You go from the low to the POC, up to the high, little bearish divergences, pullback, but you can still break out there, right? I would expect something like this on Solana rather than, rotating all the way back down to the value area low. So don't mean to scare you. Again, something like this could be in the cards, right? And if you take a look at our higher time frames, 2-week money flow coming up. This actually looks pretty nice. VWAP rolling over, but that 2-week money flow is thick in the green. So we could potentially still anticipate higher lows and higher highs. 3-day money flow also pretty freshly in the green here, right? So any lackluster pullback could be a higher low and a higher high. Just like it was ever since we saw the 2-day money flow crossover into the green, right? What are we looking for? Higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? The overall trend will continue. Doesn't mean you can't get scary dumps, though. So it could be something like that, right? Maybe you get a scary dump, higher low, higher high. Would still be the higher time frame context. Until, we'll revisit all this after FOMC, though, obviously. Okay, made me feel better. Say bing bong again. Bing bong! Rudy's like, okay, finally. Let's see. Shout out to Saad, said, Frankie, I took an ETH long on the 4-hour from 44.72 using volume profiles from the value area low. I pulled the volume profile from 42.90. Hopefully it works. Thanks for the knowledge. Shout out to Saad. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick here. Let's see. So where'd you pull that profile from? Let's see, because not all profiles will be created equal. 44.72. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Price doesn't really help me. The date would help better. So I don't know exactly where you pulled that profile from, but I'll give you some analysis here on ETH. And I don't want to change your mind. If you take this is not financial advice. You got to take trades based off your own thoughts, right? This is educational. You could incorporate this into your TA to help you make decisions. But I would say right now, right, what happened on Ethereum? We looked at Ethereum last week, right? And we had this very, very key level on the chart. What was this? 47.78 is the 786. This was the level that we needed to get above in order to see new all-time highs on Ethereum. And what is happening here? We are getting the rejection, and we are now getting accepted back into this volume profile. So, not that it means that your long can't play out or anything like that. Again, I don't know exactly what you based it off of, but, if we can't get back out of this volume profile, and I'll show you from the other perspective as well, at this point, right, I would be looking at this volume profile. If you can't break back out of this value area high, or if you did push into this value area high, I would probably look to take some profit and move my stop loss at that point, because if you get stuck in here, POC and value area low might be next. And this is not a major volume profile like it is on Solana. So you could potentially anticipate the fulfill of this range. And another thing that could point towards that is that 90-minute money flow crossing over into the red with your daily red dot, right? So, if you get that daily red dot to print on here on Ethereum, it's kind of been flashing all day. That 90-minute money flow crossover is a market cipher B1/16th. And if you get that red dot to print, right, you could look for lower highs and lower lows, which I would just be looking back within this volume profile, looking towards the POC and then the value area low of the range. The POC comes in at about 4,300. Value area low comes in at about 4,190. So just to give some local levels there on Ethereum, definitely something to pay attention to there, right? And if we take a look at this slightly different range, you can see we are attempting to get out of here, but we just can't break out just yet. And I just, when you see this money flow indicates the overall trend. And when we look at the 90-minute, lower highs and lower lows might not be super out of the cards here. So yeah, shout out to Saad. I don't want to scare you out of your long position or anything like that. Again, you have to make your own decisions. Again, I don't know exactly where you pulled this from. The price doesn't really matter as much as the time. But if I were to pull a volume profile here, I would probably be looking at this one, right? You have your area of balance, your low, your high, your low, your high, your low, your high, right? Deviate below the low, get back above the POC, look for the value area high. We now deviate above, get back into the range. Well, you could fill that back down to the low. So that is the major profile I would look at. You might be looking at a super low time frame. You might be looking at something like this, maybe. Kind of hard to say, right? In which case, maybe you took a long here, and you're riding it up to the value area high. But again, in the context of this, that would be a TP, right, with not that much of a move, right? It's about a 1% move. So yeah, these would be the major levels I would still be looking at on Ethereum. All right, if we can't get back at about 45.82, could be getting accepted back into the range. And again, it's not just the volume profile. It's also the money flow potentially pointing in this direction as well. I can't guarantee that just because money flow is coming out, you're guaranteed to come down. But 9 out of 10 times when we look at this, right, it's well, guys, what did we look at yesterday? Money flow coming out, continuation of that trend, making the next major target the point of control and the value area low. So value area low, 4,200, POC 4,300, value area high, 45.82. These are the major levels I'd be looking at. And then again, this 786 does remain still the level at 47.78 to break off into new all-time highs. If we could cook up here, then you could look for all-time highs. But until that happens, we got a nice rejection from this zone. Barely tapped into that purple box. So those are levels I'd be looking at on Ethereum. And very similar to Bitcoin, you got the red dot and the 90-minute money flow crossing out. Let's see. Shout out to Rudy. Said, I love you, Frankie. Don't tell my wife. Your secret's safe with me, Rudy. Let's go. Shout out to Daniel. Say, can you show us your oscillator settings if you don't mind? Sure. There's Market Cipher B settings. I have nothing changed other than cosmetic stuff. I have the RSIs taken off just to clean up the chart, and then everything else is just color changes. Everything remains exactly the same here. But if you wanted the exact same settings, you could just screenshot this and should be the same. And you can make them whatever colors you want. But yeah, the biggest difference I have here is I just have the RSIs turned off. That's all. And as a matter of fact, I kind of like to take the... taking that off makes it even cleaner. But yeah, there you go. We'll see if this. We'll see if these next green dots, even on Ethereum here, I said 10-hour look the same as Bitcoin. Yeah, 10-hour green dot. That could call for a break to the upside. But again, just pay attention to the local levels, because it doesn't matter if this green dot prints. If it can't crack you above this value area high, it's probably not going to help you out anyway. So these are definitely the big levels to look at on Ethereum, in my personal opinion. If I were looking along Ethereum, I would not be looking for a trade here. Why is that? Well, it's just not a great. You're kind of in the middle of no man's land, right? You're not at a key level, right? You're just below a key level. So if you long here, right, you don't have much of a big ride up into your next key level of resistance. Doesn't mean that you can't long here. Doesn't mean you can't make money doing that. It's just is it the best setup, right? For me personally, if I were to long here, let's just say I were to take a random long here on Ethereum, right? My first target's got to be this value area high. This gives me a 1.3 risk to reward. It's not the best risk to reward, right? A much better trade, in my opinion, is to either look for the short as you get back into your range, right? Looking to lose that value area high and then target the POC. And even this, just to the POC, is a much better risk to reward. It's a 3 risk to reward. And then you can eventually target the value area low. So something like that would be a little bit better, right? Either wait for the drop into the value area high, or even better, catch a short above and then look for that continuation down, really catch it from the top. But here, this is not a place where I would be interested in trading Ethereum, right? The next place I would be interested in a long position is probably not going to be unless you come down to the POC or the value area low. Now you're looking at this as, hey, potentially undervalued price. You can look at it as a range trade with the eventual target of the value area high in the POC, right? So you take along here, not financial advice, right? And then you have a much cleaner plan for your trade. It's like, well, now I know we've come down to key support. We are at an undervalued price. If we reclaim this, I can look to ride it up to the POC, lock in some profits, move my stop loss to break even. And then if the trade wants to get back above the POC and cook to the value area high, beautiful trade. If it takes you out, cool, you're getting stopped out for a TP1. Still making money. But this is just a much better place to look for a long, in my opinion. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? You could potentially come up from here, right? But, from a trading plan perspective, right, I would need a bigger drop down to look for a long position on Ethereum. But those are the key levels I'll be looking at. Shout out to Hasty. Said, thank you, Frankie. No problem. Shout out to Hasty Garage Door. It's a sick name, bro. Didn't know if you played around with the inputs. Yeah, no, Daniel, my inputs are exactly the same as far as like actual calculations and stuff. All this stuff is just cosmetic. All this stuff is all default. So yeah, great question though. I'm sure a lot of people probably wonder that. Shout out to Rudy. Said, you look like Adam Scott, bro. Uncanny. Oh, God. Do I want to look up who this is? Who's Adam Scott? Should I know who this is? Let's see here. Oh, man. I don't even know if I want to look at this. And I'll admit. Oh, I know him. Where's this guy from? I know this guy from somewhere. I can't argue too much. That's not that bad. I'll take that. Shout out to Adam Scott. Dang. I should grow my hair out a little bit and make it all fluffy. Shout out to Rudy. Cardano. Yeah, we'll take a look at Cardano. No problemo. Lucia says daily SFP last night at 116.7. Not playing out. Not playing out. Isn't this too weird? Shout out to Lucia. Let's take a look here on Bitcoin. Let's see. Daily SFP 116.7. Oh, you're talking about a bearish SFP. I thought we were talking about bullish SFP. Yeah, for sure. 100%. We actually talked about this in the premium Discord. Yeah. And here's the thing, right? This is another thing that makes me a little worried about the failed auction setup, right? Breaking back down below here for a drop down. You got the sweep of liquidity here. That's kind of gross, if I'm being honest, right? And you have the daily red dot and the 90-minute money. You have market cipher B looking a little bit more bearish, and you have the SFP of the high. Yeah, for sure. Totally there, bro. Totally there. And if you lose this support again, right, like your hope here is that you hold on top of key support and you just push right through. But if we lose this, I have to say it. I'm looking for a bigger drop. If you don't get held here by 114,250, right, like that could turn into somewhat of a failed auction setup. And when you look for failed auctions, I won't get too into this. A lot of people say, right, like I explain the failed auctions like this, right? Let's say this is the level you're looking at for an SFP, right? On a 30-minute or 1-hour time frame, it looks like this. Price wiggles its way up, wick above, candle closure down below. That's your SFP confirmation for a drop down. A failed auction is pretty much the exact same thing, except instead of an actual SFP wick, you just spend a little bit of time up there, right? You get the push up, price gets up there, you kind of bing bong around, and then oftentimes what will happen is you'll form a mini range. This is sauce, guys. A lot of people charge for this information. You'll form some kind of a mini range. This gives you a little bit of a volume profile that you can use to find a nice short entry within the context of the low time frame profile from the high to the low of the profile. And then if you get the loss of that SFP level, aka the failed auction, well, hey, what happened in the current price action? You have the wick here, and we got the local SFP of that upper range, right? So instead of looking for the candle to wick above your SFP level, close down below to take the short, you get above the SFP level, range around, and if you can create some kind of a mini range, you can look within that range for a little bit of a short entry, right, which gave you the exact SFP entry. And if it turns into a longer-term failed auction, well, hey, you were able to use an SFP of that mini range to catch your entry trigger of the longer-term failed auction, right? And even like on a, if you watch my SFP video that I have uploaded on the channel, guys, this will explain it, right? Sometimes you get a high time frame SFP, like a daily SFP or a 4-hour SFP. On a lower time frame, what does that look like, right? Because a 4-hour time frame, you get a big wick up, big wick down, closure down below. But on a 5-minute time frame, what is it going to look like? Those candles are going to chop around up here, and then you're going to lose the level and send it down. So the failed auction is the same thing as an SFP. It's just elongated, right? You're just kind of bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong, lose the level, dump. On a higher time frame, it looks like an SFP, if that makes sense. Hopefully I didn't confuse everybody. But there you go. And that's exactly what we had here, right, in my opinion, right? You get the major level of resistance, not necessarily an SFP level that we were looking at, but it's a major level of resistance. You bing bong sideways. What happens here? Well, this would be something like that, right? Potential liquidity sweep of this wick. I'm not going to move it. It's not perfect here, but it's about the same, right? There's your range. And where can you look for your short opportunities up here if it's not an SFP? Right? If it's not going to be, if you're not going to get that 1-hour SFP and you're going to spend some time up here like we did, where can you look for shorts? Well, wait till you deviate above the local profile. Now this is expensive based off your relative price action. You could at least try to catch a trade from the high to the POC to the low. And I can tell you guys right now, 100% chance, if this did not happen at 2 a.m., I would be in this trade. 100%. But it happened at 2 a.m., so I did not take that trade. But that's kind of how you could do it, right? And then what does it look like on a higher time frame? Maybe even like a weekly time frame. Actually, it won't look like that on the weekly just because we closed the candle above it slightly. But it does kind of look like an SFP, right? Wick above, closure down below, move to the downside. I don't want to get too deep into that. Probably confusing more people than I'm helping them. So there you go. I hit the like button 3 times. Let's go. Shout out to still working. The like button's working overtime today, guys. And it is on an extended sale of free $99. Smash that like button if you appreciate the free content here and the free value. Let's go. My camera's freezing. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't know why my camera keeps freezing, guys. It's quite annoying. Let's see. I think we're good. Better now. I was going to say it's live now. I did not see it freeze. But, yeah, hopefully we can not continue to get that to freeze. Let me go ahead and close Exo charts real quick. Actually, let me see if there's anything on here on Exo charts I can show you guys. We already looked at the heat maps. Yeah, not much to look at here. I'm actually going to close Exo charts. It might help my camera stop freezing. Yo, shout out to Indian Martini. Said, hey, Frankie, as a fellow peak holder, we have signs of life. Signs of life. Look at this. Look at this on peak. I'm going to take a look at Cardano next, guys. I just want to take a quick look at this. All right. Yeah, nice. All right, so this thing might be done going to 0 at this point. Yeah, still don't have any like real high time frame information on this chart, but you're back above your value area. This is nice. We looked at this a while. I haven't looked at peak in quite some time, but this is kind of that first sign of strength. I wouldn't even say sign of strength. Like, honestly, the first sign of strength here, guys, I mean, yeah, I guess you break above these highs somewhat, but yeah, ideally, you know, I kind of want to get above these highs if I'm being totally honest here. Like, look at a monthly time frame. First sign of strength would be getting above these, right? In this volume profile, definitely a sign of life. I would definitely say that. Sign of strength would be breaking out of here, flipping it to support. Because at the end of the day on peak, when you look at this from a visible range volume profile perspective, right? Like, look at all this volume. Tons of volume, massive fall off up into this daily. So if you can get out of this range, flip it to support, you might be able to get the quick move up to the daily. And then honestly, there's not a ton of volume above, right? So, you know, quick moves down oftentimes lead to fast moves up, right? Fast move down. Right? Even here, fast move down, quick rip through that low volume gap. High volume, low volume. These low volume gaps typically have price push through very quickly. If you can get above this high volume node, might be able to push up again very quickly, similar to what happened right here. Get above here, you might be able to cook up very quickly, right? Even just like this in general, fast move up, get above this high volume node, or fast move down, get above this high volume node, get above these highs, might be able to get a fast move back up. For a nice recovery on peak. Hopefully that is the case. But yeah, you are inside this volume profile. Very nice. Next target to the upside would be about 13.5 cents. And yeah, I would say ideally you hold inside this volume profile, right? You get above the low, push to the POC, you stay inside the range, you're back playing with this POC. If you could stay above this low, could potentially fill this profile in full. So yeah, but let's take a look at Cardano. I know a lot of people want to see ADA. So yeah, all right, let me hide this. Take a look at the daily. So yeah, I mean, again, just not a ton to update here, guys. Just chop fest, absolute chop fest. The will it break level here is still valid. You have your low, your high. Like we front ran that. See this quick. So yeah, I would say if you do have to come back down, guys, the biggest level of support on Cardano, I hate to say it, it remains the same, right? There's just nothing to change here. 70 to 61 cents is your golden pocket 786 of this entire move. This entire move up. From the low to the high. If we cool off, this could be an area to look for a higher low and a higher high. And again, doorway to higher prices, the biggest level of resistance is the value area low at 90 cents. We just keep getting chopped around on this level. So until we get above here and hold, I would like to see daily, weekly candles close inside of here. And even then, right, doesn't guarantee you get the move. But again, this is going to get tied to the rest of the market, right? But yeah, I would say even a pullback here would not be the worst thing in the world. Something like that, right? Maybe a little left shoulder, a little head, a little right shoulder. I guess you could view that like this anyway. But yeah, I don't pay attention to patterns. But yeah, this level here, still the biggest level of support, 61 to 70 cents. Once you lose this, I think that's a massive sign of weakness, in my opinion. All right, lose this, I'm looking to take out these lows. So, but right now, you're just chopping around this value area. Get in there. That opens the door to the POC. But until then, could look for the pullbacks potentially. Let me see. Yeah, also banging your head on this upper value area. Yeah, I like this perspective best, to be quite honest. Into the value area high. All right, this doesn't change the longer-term scenario. But, yeah, something like that's not possible, guys. I would definitely – I'm just going to keep it simple. 70 to 61 cents on Cardano. Until we lose 61 cents, 62 cents, I am not really yeah, I mean, unless we break this, I'm not really worried. You lose this, then I'm looking to take out these lows. But even if we come down here, right, definitely an opportunity to look for a long position. Why? It's a value area low. And even if you are not going to hold this 786, if you get a confirmation down here, the chances of at least getting some kind of a lackluster bounce into the POC is likely, even if it's not going to fill the whole range. So, yeah, like this is just not a place I would trade Cardano personally. I would rather wait for the bigger pullback, for a pushback into the range. And then again, if you break down below that volume profile and you start losing the 786, well, yikes, then you're looking to take this out. So this volume profile is probably the nicest one to look at, right? Because you got the deviation below the low, back into the range, POC, flip the POC, value area high. Reject the value area high with bearish divergences on the daily. Well, you would expect a pullback. And if this money flow continues out, I would say you could anticipate that downtrend to continue, which would be lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? All eyes on this level for Cardano. Hopefully we don't have to see it, but if we do, that would be the next significant area to watch. And I bet you this is the Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. It is, right into the golden pocket. All right, so you're already looking for potential lower highs and lower lows based off your money flow. Where's that lower high likely to come in at, right? Even this is a potential short opportunity. But yeah, definitely not, if I were to look for something here, it would have to be a short. As far as longs, I would rather come down into these bigger levels of support. Value area low sitting at 61.5 cents. POC sitting at 74 cents. Value area high sitting at $1. Yeah, I'll just call it $1. And you could actually maybe extend this as well. I would keep an eye on both of these ranges. It doesn't really change much. Value area high pretty much stays exactly the same. Value area low moves up slightly. So I'll actually take the newer range. Still remains the same, though. Reject the high. POC could be next. Into your key levels of support. That's the level to be interested in my opinion. So there you go. That's what I look at on Cardano. Long term, does this change anything? Oh, my God, money flow coming out on the daily? No, not really. 3-day money flow crossover into the green. This is still more bullish, in my opinion, for higher lows and higher highs. Lose the 786? Well, that money flow is probably coming back into the red. But until then, I would still feel pretty good about this. 3-day money flow still looks pretty good. Nail biter. Shout out to Baze Bailey. 100%. That is the emoji of the month, honestly. Shout out to Vexy. Said, Frankie, is the pullback can happen in one day because Wednesday is going to be so bullish? I mean, here's the thing, right? If they cut 0.25 points, it's... Yeah, I mean, if they cut a quarter point, it's like... Oh, yeah, a 0.25 basis points could be priced in here, to be honest. So, like, yes, a rate cut is bullish, but you have to understand that, like, this is why we've talked about this, like, leading up to the September rate cuts, which I can't believe we're finally here. Been talking about it for so long. Just goes to show the patience you need. Like, we've been talking about these September rate cuts for such a long time, ever since back here at 112K, right? Saying, like, you know, if they cut rates in September, like, that might be what we have to wait for. You might have to endure a little bit more effery here, which we absolutely had to. But you do have to understand, right? Like, it is definitely bullish. Could it be the catalyst that pushes us up? Absolutely. But it could also give us somewhat of a sell the news event, which, again, you know, it does take some time. It's not always that the rate cut is the day. It's not like they're like, we're going to cut rates and then everything just moons. It could happen, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time for that to make its way into the actual market. So if you do see like a sell the news event, right, hopefully it's not aggressive, right? Because if it is, oh man, I don't want to play with these levels again. But yeah, I mean, if we pulled back maybe tomorrow and maybe even into Wednesday, right, and then the rate cut happens, something like that would be very nice in my opinion. It really depends on how far we pull back. If we wind up getting like a mega dump overnight or something, and we're starting to play around with 107K at that point, it's definitely getting really dicey. But I am expecting chop leading up to FOMC. I think the real move is probably going to happen at FOMC, whether it's a sell the news event or we just get like FOMO coming in and it really just props up the market. And it's gonna depend. Like, no one can predict what he's going to say. If they cut more than we expect, right? Well, then there's probably a higher chance of that being like a bullish catalyst to send us up. If it's just 0.25, I don't know. I don't know, because you have to think that it's probably priced in at this point. So, if you can survive this bull market, you can survive being waterboarded. Shout out to Panda Profit. That is a really, really good way to put it. Yes, bull market's been brutal, at least for the altcoins. Bitcoin, you know, I will always say this, right? Like, this Bitcoin bull market has been beautiful. I mean, so healthy. Straight up, right? Oh, my God, pullback. Oh, my God, pullback. And, again, I know this was very scary, but if you watch this show, I was not scared here. I was not scared here, right? This is a very clean market structure. Clear uptrend. Like, super healthy bull market for Bitcoin. Altcoins, ugh, just gross. Not even really that gross, if I'm being honest, right? Low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low on our 786. Could still be, you know. It's definitely been brutal for the altcoins. Not as much Bitcoin, though. Yeah, you know what? I guess. Shout out to Vexy said, okay, thanks, you're the best. Shout out to Vexy. Yeah, those are my thoughts. But yeah, I mean, yeah, altcoins have been absolutely brutal. Yeah, shout out to Cryptic Crabman, 0.25 and hawkish undertones. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? It's like trying to solve a riddle, right? Like you gotta listen to like what he's saying, trying to hint to stuff. Come on, Powell, just tell us. Just be like, guys, your bags are going to the moon. Or, guys, sell now. Just tell us. Just tell us, bro. Baby G says, Frankie, where looks good for you for a potential spot entry for potential new position for long-term accumulation? Dry powder ready to run. Appreciate it. Shout out to Baby G. Are you talking about Bitcoin? In my opinion, on Bitcoin, this is not a place at this point in the cycle. I have people recently reach out to me and ask, wow, I see Bitcoin's over 100K. Like, is it a good time to buy? I would never say, like, even for this cycle, guys, even if we go into all-time highs, I do think it is going to be like an ending parabola, right? I think it's going to be the ending move. I could be wrong, right? I hope I'm wrong, right? Like, this is the nice thing. Like, if it goes against my thought, it's fine, right? Because I would love that. If it's just going to like scream to the upside, I'm like, all right, cool. I didn't even have time to take profits, and now we're up extra. That's great. But you know, this is just not a place where I can recommend people buying, right? And even if it's something like this, if we're somewhere here, right, I can never recommend someone buy up here, especially when it's getting so close to the end of the cycle, right? It's just like you're going to get chopped around. So for Bitcoin, right, like I would say let it go. Right, and this is not financial advice. You don't have to do what I say. Please don't do what I say, right? Do your own research. But, you know, my opinion, right, if I did not hold any Bitcoin, I would let this thing run up to wherever it wanted to run up and wait for the next bear market. And then I would look to accumulate in the next bear market. For altcoins, it's a little bit different and obviously going to be based off each altcoin. But for Bitcoin here, it's like if we go up to 100, let's say we go up to 150K and you buy right here and we go up to 150K, right? Like, I mean, this is a 30% pump. That's not what most people are going to expect from crypto, right? So like, if someone were going to buy here, I would just like, and honestly, 150K is a little high for me. Could we go to 150K? Yes. Is it my base target? No. My next target's between 130 and 137,000. If we go up there and get the rejection, right, say 136K, right, it's a 17% gain. I was talking to somebody on the phone, and they had very nice spot entries at about, down here in the bear market, below 30,000. And they're like, I don't know if I should be taking profits up here, if I should wait for the next move, if it's going to come. And, I just tell them, like, weigh the options, right? Are you going to be more upset missing out if Bitcoin goes to 140K? Are you going to be more pissed on missing out on 22% extra profit when you've already capitalized on this entire move up? Or are you going to be more mad of not taking profits and potentially having the top come in, even if it's lower probability? Like, are you going to be more mad if you don't sell? Or are you going to be more mad about missing 22%? If you've already enjoyed this entire move up, in my opinion, right, like, it's not worth it. And that's why I say, if Bitcoin even goes to 150K or beyond, right, like, I've enjoyed this move from 21,000 all the way up. Like, I'm not worried about missing every little penny that I can get out of it. If this goes up to 150K, I'm missing out on 30%. I'm already up, over 400%. Right, so I'm not worried about missing that last. I've already captured a bulk of this move. So you have to weigh those options, right? Now, some people might be looking for a 30% pump, but I just think it's just a little too late, in my opinion, to be looking for fresh Bitcoin spot entries. It's not to say you can't buy here and make money. I just don't think it's the best time to buy. So I would personally wait for the next bear market. But altcoins, obviously, tons of opportunity on the altcoins. These are all off their all-time highs. We obviously look at this every single day, right? Like, a lot of this stuff is, off its all-time highs. And if we are in that environment with rate cuts, dominance coming down, I mean, we could even look at something like Total 3, right? Or Total 2, right? Like, these are knocking on the door. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, sure, we break out of here, that's a breakout. But it's also massive resistance, right? That's why I say, when I say it's a nail-biter, I am not just saying that to say it. It is an absolute nail-biter here. So, definitely potential massive opportunity on the altcoins, but I just think, Bitcoin, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we shoot up to 500K. I'm sure they'll call for it when we get the breakout. But me personally, I can only say what I would do. I would not be looking to buy up here. And even looking at, like, being disciplined with myself, I'd be like, come on, Frankie. Really? You think this is the best entry? Look how far we've come, right? Is this the best entry? Absolutely not. It's going to be hard, though. If we push into new all-time highs, all that sentiment's mega bullish, buy the dip, you're going to feel like you should have bought down here. But I'm just not going to buy into those narratives, guys. They have never meant anything. Bitcoin's more fundamentally bullish than ever. Cool. Bear market still came in. Doesn't matter, right? Never will. Never did. I don't want to say never will, right? But never has in the past. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, ETH 8K-ish. I mean, if we want to talk ETH all-time highs, as you guys know, I'm very public about these targets for Ethereum all-time highs, right? Between 57 and 6,500 is the next major target I will be looking at. And then above that, people are going to start calling for 20K, 10K, 15K. Is it possible? I'd say so, but I think it's a totally different thing. I'm looking between 58 and 6,500. I'm selling some of my Ethereum up here. I'll tell you that right now. If we get up here, I am unloading some of my Ethereum. Now, understand I have a very good entry on ETH. I don't know what my exact dollar amount is, but I was buying most things in bear market. So I'm going to be offloading ETH here. Just like if Bitcoin's at 130K, I'll be offloading some of my Bitcoin, right? These are preset take profits that I've been waiting for years at this point, right? When I look at the Bitcoin targets, I'll pull the same thing. Fibonacci retracement from the high all the way to the low, right? Target number one between 92 and $102,000 right here, or 91 and $102,000. This is the first target right up here. I took small profits here, very small profits. Second target sits between 136 and 155K, and we also have some local targets around 130, right? So for me, 130 to 136, I'm going to be taking more profits. I was waiting for this level ever since we were down here. If we get up here, that's the first target for the bull market. Second target for the bull market is going to be sitting up here in the 130s and potentially into 150. To be quite frank with you, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. I am not anticipating much higher than that. I hope it does. I hope it goes higher than that, right? But if it looks like garbage up here, I'm going to be taking profits either way. But if it looks like garbage, I will be aggressively taking profits on my Bitcoin. And for Ethereum, that looks like 58 to 6,500. Above that, we have about 7,300. And then above that, you have these targets at about 99 to 11.3. I don't know if we're getting up there. I hope we do, right? I do hold a lot of Ethereum, but these are my targets, and these are my take profit levels I'll be looking at. I will be taking some off the table here, taking some off the table here. If we go above that, I'll continue to take profits up to the next target. So there you go. I don't have an $8,000 target, though. 73.33 is that next target for me. I could try to pull a more local fib extension. Just pull it from here to here. 76 to 85, a little bit more of a local target. So yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Next, let's get up to the 5,000 and 6,000s first. Shout out to Lucia, says literally Bitcoin move today is 0.01. Oh my God. Shout out to Lucia. Yeah. What kind of pullbacks do I expect for the bear market? Shout out to Clifton. I mean, for Bitcoin, I'd expect somewhere in the 70% for a pullback, right? That's just what we've seen historically as time moves on, right? Between 80 and 70% to the downside as the cycles go on. Typically, as the asset matures, right, those percentages get less and less, right? So just roughly here, 86%, roughly here, 83%, here, 70, I think this was more like 76%. So, in the mid 70s, I would be looking for potentially. But it all depends. It really all depends, guys. There might be something on the dumps where it's like, hey guys, I don't know, institutions are capitulating. Maybe there's big liquidations that we're looking for could cause a bigger drop. Things can change, but in general, right? Like the way I was able to identify where I was looking for the bottom here between $14,000 and $12,000 was just based off looking at those percentages and more importantly, looking for the high time frame macro bullish confirmations to mark the bottom, which for me personally was a weekly bullish divergence, which literally marked the low. Didn't even hit. I was looking between 114 and 112. We came down to 115.4, right? So you're never going to get it to the dollar, but it was pretty spot on there. All right. And I did that by measuring the percentages, taking averages, assuming it would be a little bit less than the previous cycle based off the higher market cap, and then seeing that bullish divergence, right? So it'll be very similar. I'll be anticipating something in the mid 70s. And then if I start to see those bullish confirmations, like maybe a weekly bullish divergence in the mid 70s, well, I can start to look at like maybe the bottom potentially coming in. Now, where that would be price wise is going to depend on where Bitcoin tops out. If we top out up here at 200K, right, that 70% drop is going to be much higher than if we are already topped out, right? It'd be much lower. But we'll cross that. We have plenty of time to talk about that. Could you do dominance, Frankie? It looks like it's stuck at the weekly MPOC right now. Shout out to Base Bailey. Take a look at dominance. My sentiment on dominance remains the same. Once it changes, I'll let you guys know. I mean, I would say you have your weekly green dot looking to print. Could that cause turbulence to the upside for dominance and pullbacks for altcoins potentially? But still, from a macro money flow perspective, this is all coming out. This is very indicative, right? 3-day money flow finally crossing into the red. This is very indicative of lackluster pumps to the upside, lower highs and lower lows. So even if this thing starts pushing up, as long as we don't start cracking really key levels, I will still be looking for lower highs and lower lows. Money flow will indicate that move. Exactly what happened back here. Daily money flow crosses into the red. 2-day money flow crosses into the red. 3-day money flow crosses over into the red. And boom, you come down. So it's looking very similar here, in my opinion. We've spent a ton of time in the green here. So there you go. That's pretty much all I got for dominance, right? Like low time, I'm not really concerned with like, oh my God, we're pushing up. And I'm not saying you are based, Bailey. But, I'm not going to be, oh my God, we're coming up, right? I'm just going to be like, all right, well, the trend still is, I would expect them. If that weekly green dot prints, I'll expect to move up, right? I'm not going to be freaking out. I'm still going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. Money flow indicates the overall trend. The green dots and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. So there you go. Shout out to Dave Digital says, wait, what did Frankie Candles just introduce? Wait, did Frankie Candles just introduce institutional capitulation into the crypto market? Shout out to Dave Digital. I mean, I hope not, right? But who knows? There's going to be all kinds of stuff that we're looking at in the bear market. That could be something to look for, right? Maybe that's the catalyst to say that, Bitcoin's never going down. People say, well, if Bitcoin's going to go back up into another bull market, why would all the institutions be dumping? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to look at the chart, right? Down here, people were worried about regulation, exchanges going down, right? I mean, if you were here during this time, it felt like the end of the world, guys. It felt like the end of the world. And guess what? The bottom came in, and we went into another bull market based off the 4-year cycle, right? And just obviously, not just the 4-year cycle, but just like the macro liquidity cycle. So, when they start saying, oh my God, institutions are dumping, obviously this thing's going to zero, right? I'm probably going to be buying that dip for another bull market. And hopefully we're not wrong. But it hasn't been wrong yet. So, let's see. XRP, shout out to Perry. Yeah, we could take a look at XRP real quick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here on the altcoins, but XRP actually does have a little bit of an update. As you guys know, last week, we were looking at this being the next major target to the upside, sitting between 311 and 319. And little do you know, guys, look at this. Push right into the zone, and we get the pullback. I would say locally, you're still within your profile, right? You've gotten above the value area low. Next likely place for price to go is the POC. Most people will be like, oh my God, what happened? Oh my God, what happened, right? But you do continue up to that POC. Very nice. And we're now pulling back. Oh my God, right? But the POC is resistance, guys. This is where you get the turbulence. I would say personally for me, key levels to look at on Ethereum locally, XRP locally, you're above the low, hit the POC. As long as you can stay within this range, doorways to the POC are open, right? Flip that POC to support. We can look up towards honorable mention, 786 sitting here at 323, but at the end of the day, you are still going to be anticipating that value area high at 335. If you come down here and you start losing the golden pocket value area low, you start losing the 786, this is where I think you see the bigger drop down on XRP, potentially targeting 250 to 260. Macro golden pocket. But if you could stay inside of here, inside of the range, POC is still open. Even if you come down here, it could be a deviation before a bounce. This is the line in the sand on XRP for me. Break 280. I'm looking down towards 250 to 260. There are some other local levels, but I don't want to over confuse you guys. This is the big level to watch. So tomorrow, if we get a pullback like this, there's nothing to update on XRP. Key levels are still down here. It's not until we lose this that I would be worried. And when we take a look at our daily time frame, red dot printing, 90-minute money flow crossed over into the red. So still an opportunity to continue down here. But this is your key zone of support, sitting between 291 and 280. Lose 280, I'm looking down to 250 to 260. But if you remain in the range, right, doorway through the profile is still open. Just like on Solana. Oh my God, what's happening? Right, you're still in the range. You still go to the POC. You still go to the value area high. Rejected the value area high. Right? I know it's like super scary to think this and look at this before it happens. It's not until hindsight where you're like, oh my God, wow, look at that. That's pretty crazy. It takes a long time to start trusting in this stuff and not get spooked out by these dumps to the downside. Now, at the end of the day, right, if we wound up breaking our key levels of support on Solana, well, I would have been looked lower. But as long as you stay in the range, doorway to the POC, back to the POC is open. Doorway to the value area high is still open. So there you go. All right, let's check in on chat real quick. Shout out to, I don't know how to say that name, says, but alt season. Shout out to, I don't know how to say that. Pelagic, I think is how you say that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if those rate cuts can trigger that alt season. I mean, dominance is set up for it, for sure. Whoops. Here's your 3-day money flow crossing over into the red. It's exactly what happened here. And they don't happen very often. And when you do get them, you do get pullbacks, right? Like even down here, right? Like, sure, you're not looking for alt season down here, but like 3-day money flow cross into the red, continuation down. 3-day money flow cross over into the red, continuation down. 3-day money flow cross over into the red, big capitulation, right? And this was back in 2021. We are now finally, for the first time in 950 days almost, finally seeing a 3-day money flow crossover into the red. And yes, you can get a push up from here, right? But again, overall, the trend would continue to the downside. Higher probability of that happening. No guarantees, obviously. I wish I could guarantee that. If I can guarantee that this was going down 100%, I would just FOMO into every single altcoin right now, right? But you still got to manage the risk, right? Let's see. Crow. Yeah, we could take a look at Crow. Shout out to Lucky. Said, hi, Frankie. If Market Cypher B116 setup has a conflicting indicators between different time frames, which 2 time frames are preferred for day trades? I would say for day trades, for the Market Cypher B116 strategy, 4-hour, 15-minute would be preferable for day trades, meaning 4-hour green dot, or for a move up, right? 4-hour green dot. with a 15-minute money flow crossover into the green, right? That would indicate a local move up, but that would not trump something like a daily money flow crossing into the red. So for day trades, I would say probably closer to the 4-hour and the 15-minute for the market side for B116 strategies. So yeah, that's what I would look for. Hopefully that answers your questions. Let's see. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Crow. All right, so Crow finally pushing into the golden pocket here. Low, high. Higher, low, higher, high. Not really a higher low there. Just get my bearings here. Yeah, I mean, you've reclaimed the 786. So yeah, you're pushing into the support that we looked at. I don't remember exactly when we looked at this, but I guess we pulled this after the 27th of August. So yeah, I mean, you're pushing into your golden pocket 786 zone. This is, I wouldn't say this is like if you lose this, you're going to zero, but this is, and again, right, like daily money flow coming out. You have to think to yourself, this is support. Excuse me, could you get a bounce? Sure. What is the probability that this is the higher low before a massive higher high? Well, in order to anticipate these macro continuations up, you really want to see your high time frame money flow continuing up, right? Not coming out here. So we've come into the value area. We've lost it. We're tapping support. So definitely, short-term bounces here could be likely. But based off this daily money flow, lower highs and lower lows could be in the cards, right? Even if you bounce off the 786, if this money flow is still coming out on the daily, I'd have to favor lower highs and lower lows. Next big key level, if you cannot hold this golden pocket 786, is going to be the value area high at about 15 cents. More technically, 0.146. Now, once you start losing this level, this is kind of the level you really don't want to lose, right? Because if you lose this value area high, it's also your macro 786. Also, this golden pocket pulled from the low is confluent with the local 786. So I would put more weight on this bottom of the blue box than the top of the blue box, personally. Maybe you get a little lower high, lower low, and then you could analyze price as we push into these the lower part of this blue box. But if we lose this, this is the level to bounce off of. If you lose this, I'd be looking for a much bigger drop down. I don't want to lose 14 cents. Right? It's the 786. It's also the value area high of the range. You don't want to lose this. This would indicate at least the POC, if not the value area low to come out. And you're looking to take out this low as well, right? Because that's the 786. You're looking for the low, the high, the higher low, the higher high. Once you start losing this, I don't know. Especially because you're going to accept it into the range. This is the big key level to look at on Crow. 15 to 14 cents. You don't want to lose that. I would be okay, like pushing down to the 786 and getting a bounce. That would be nice. But you lose that, that's a sign of weakness in my opinion. Whoops. So yeah. And again, this golden pocket is at the bottom of the blue box, and then the local 786 is at the bottom of that blue box as well. So you could separate these. I'd put a little less weight on the golden pocket and a little more weight on the anchored VWAP 786. So these are the next two levels to get bounces off of. But until that money flow shapes up, I'd be looking for lackluster bounces here. Doesn't mean it's going to zero no alt season, right? It just means might be more pain to endure. And hopefully, if rate cuts give us the big move up, hopefully we don't have to deal with that. Hopefully we can just scam to the upside. I would love that. But from a chart perspective, this is the big level you don't want to lose. And then locally, you can look for bounces here and bounces here. So that's what I'm looking at, not financial advice. Daily, if you got that daily green dot, maybe, again, this is where I would look for, like, if this momentum wave is going to come up and give us a lower high, you could look for a break of structure to the upside, but money flow is pointing against that. At that point, you would have to be expecting a massive fake out on money flow. So not my preferred scenario. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital dropping the hearts in the chat. Emojis in the chat. Let's go. Shout out to Dave and Jesse. Shout out to PHX. Says, hello, Frankie. What indicates Bitcoin might top at 130 to 150K? Shout out to PHX. As far as the technical targets, 130K is your next. 137. 136.6. I don't know if this is exactly pulled correctly, but pretty much between 136 and 150K is your next major Fibonacci extension zone, right? So this is what gives me the numerical targets, right? My target number one for the bull market was up here, right? Not the top, but target number 1. We come up, we hit our head, we lose it for a bull market correction, we get above it, new all-time high. The next zone or target this big is sitting up here, right? So this doesn't mean that price has to come up here, but it means if price comes up here, be careful of corrections and potential tops to come in, just like here. Why was I not expecting this to be the top? Well, it was the first bull market target, in my opinion. Bitcoin making a 60% move above its previous all-time was a little bit unlikely. But what happens, right? You hit your head, and you wind up getting a pretty significant drop to the downside, right? So you got to be aware of that resistance. But if we have resistance up here for a pullback, I think that, obviously the higher up you go, the higher chances are that the top is in. And from a timing perspective, from a cycle perspective, from a macroeconomic perspective, if another top comes up in here somewhere and we see top signals, it just comes more and more likely that the top is in, right? And, what are people screaming for up here? They're screaming for 200K. They're screaming for 500K. They're screaming for the golden bull market. And more importantly, they're screaming buy the dip. The bull market just began. Wake up, everybody. You're going to see it. It's going to be legendary. There's going to be tweets out there. There's going to be memes. It's like Bitcoin finally wakes up. Don't wake up the beast. Oh, my God. This is so crazy. It's just starting. Not in my eyes. This bull market has been going on as expected from the bottom here. Like, this has been going on for just about the same amount of days as every other bull market. This is roughly about 1,000 days into it, right? Just roughly about 1,000 days into it, right? Like, this is just starting to get towards the end of the 4-year cycle, or the macro liquidity cycle, I should say. And yeah, it would just make sense if we came up here. If we start seeing tops up there, I just would not be shocked if it's the top. And when people start saying buy the dip, golden bull market, what am I doing? I'm selling into those rips. I am not buying that. I would have bought this if I was not already positioned, right? I would have bought this. Massive fear at the low. I would have bought this. Massive fear at the low. And I talked about this live on the stream, right? Like, guys, don't let people scare you out of your positions here. They don't understand how to read the charts. Or maybe they do. They just get scared. Very understandable. But it's the fear on the drops is those are the dips you want to buy. But when we're up here pulling back, people are going to say, it just started. You guys see all the altcoins are ripping. This is crazy. We've never seen this before. Oh, my God, we're going up to $1 million. I will not fall victim to that. If we get up there and there is a reason to look up towards 200K, well, if there is an actual reason, well, then I'll look up there. And either way, we'll probably have a case in case you get a surprising rip. But it's like the same thing here, right? Like, could you have put a higher low on this 786 for a higher high? Yes. But why were we way more on the side of a lower high and a lower low? Well, it had to do with your high time frame money flow, right? So, I don't know. I feel, right, that 200K level, that 500K level, those crazy numbers people are going to call for, just understand, everybody and their grandma was looking for 100K here. We didn't get anywhere close, right? It doesn't matter that Bitcoin is more fundamentally bullish than ever. It never has, right? It might matter long term, but it's just never mattered when it comes to the cyclical movement of these markets. So if we pull up here and I see the signs that the top is potentially coming in, I'm taking in my profit. I'm taking my profit, and I'm probably looking for giga shorts to zero. Not zero, but you get what I mean. So, yeah. Not a lot of people are going to tell you that. People are just going to tell you 500K, click the video. Please keep watching. Keep watching. Don't leave me in the bear market. Oh, my God. But it doesn't matter, right? Because in the bear market, we shine in the bear market because we're making money on the way down. Made a ton of money back here, and we will do it again in the next bear market, which will come, guys. It's going to come. I promise you. And if it doesn't, I'm happy to be wrong about that because we never go into another bear market for some reason. Well, that's beautiful. I remember those times. Yeah, shout out to Philly Skills. And if you've been here in the past cycle, I think it's going to be a lot easier for the people who were here last cycle to take profits up here if we make it. Yeah. Those are my thoughts. Shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy said, I don't believe you. Pull your fib out. Prove it. Shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy. Welcome in, bro. AVAX, we can take a quick look at AVAX. Bada boom, bada bing. Where are we at? All right. Let's take a look here. This is one of our AVAX charts, but where's our AVAX chart with that gap? Where's that dang gap? There it is. All right, so still chilling inside this gap. Not much of an update here, guys. If you saw any stream where we looked at AVAX last week, it remains the same. You're inside the low volume gap. You're above the high volume node. You're above the POC. From a very simple perspective, right, you're above the point of control of the range, just like on Solana. Whoops. just like on Solana. You get above the value area low, POC is next. Flip the POC to support. Your next journey is going to be up towards that POC, right? Eventual target of about $40.54. Does not mean you can't see turbulence leading up there. And to be quite honest, obviously this low volume gap, if we're able to hold inside here, you could see price move pretty quickly through here as it has in the past, as it has in the past, as it has in the past, as it has in the past. But massive resistance at the top of this gap. And again, final target could obviously be the value area high, but if you're looking for where there's going to be turbulence, if we fill this low volume gap, just understand we have massive resistance in the $33 to $34 zone. And then above that, you have another area of confluence between $35.70 and $36.66. Yikes, 666. So if we're able to fill this gap, I would potentially be interested in scalp shorts or day trades from these levels of resistance, massive resistance after filling a large low volume gap. Definitely going to be big targets, right? Intermediary targets. This is similar. I would say these are bigger levels than what was on Solana, but it's like same thing on Solana, right? We know once you get above the low, you can eventually fill this range to the value area high, which we have now finally seen. Thank God. But you obviously have that daily and the monthly up here, which gave you slight low time frame turbulence. But when we take a look at AVAX, it's very similar, right? Like just because you have resistance here doesn't mean that you're not going to continue your journey to the value area high. These are like intermediary levels within the overall profile. So the general target, get above the low, flip the POC. You're looking up towards that value area high, but it's not going to play out like that very likely. You're going to get, well, actually, it might with the pullback here. But, you know, it's not just going to shoot directly up towards that value area high very likely, right? It's probably going to give you some turbulence. You're going to be like, oh, my God, why are we pulling back, right? That's why, you know, especially because we can make money on these pullbacks. That's why these key levels of resistance are so important to pay attention to. So next targets to the upside between $33 and $34. Above that, 35 to 36. Like you could even look at this as one big zone between 33.91 and 36.68. Or you can look at them as two separate zones, but these are definitely big levels of resistance. Weekly MPOC and daily horizontal, weekly horizontal, high volume node, monthly MPOC, and a daily. These are definitely big zones of resistance. But I would just look at that as noise on your way back up to the value area high. But if you can capitalize on these moves down, why not know those levels are there and cash in on those drops to the downside? Other than that, same idea here. And just understand, you know, if Ethereum breaks down, if everything starts pulling back like crazy, you know, doesn't mean AVAX has to fill this low volume gap. You do have the daily red dot is confirmed, so you don't have it printing just yet. Or you don't have it printing anymore. It's already confirmed. So you don't really have the market cipher B116 setup for AVAX. 2-day red dot rolling, or 2-day VWAP rolling over. So yeah, I'm not really much update here. Just kind of chopping inside the gap. You know, for a short, for me personally, I would wait for these levels. And for a long, we'd need some kind of bigger retracement to the downside. But you have clear resistance up here on AVAX. So these would be like the next major targets to the upside. If you continue up, I'd be interested in pullbacks from those levels. And eventually filling the value area. So there you go. That's what I would look at on AVAX. Shout out to Jessica in the chat. Welcome in, Jessica. Life is going. Shout out to Dave said, how's life going? Or no, Jesse said, how's life, Jessica? And she said, life is going. It's going. It's moving. It's moving, unlike this price action on crypto. Shout out to Bear Market Blues, brother. Said, yeah, I got you in the bear market. I ain't going nowhere. Let's go. Shout out to Bear Market Blues. Honestly, this is the worst bull run ever. The market makers are savage this time around. Yeah, shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy. Shout out to Elvis. Said, ETC. I love my dino coins. We could take a look at ETC real quick. Erythrium Classic, as your grandmother might say. I don't think we have a chart for E Classic. Ah, man. I don't want to spend a ton of time marking this up. Shout out to Diaz. I'm gonna see if I do have a chart. I'll look at it. If I cannot find a chart here, I will mark this up and take a look at it tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think we do. Maybe a Bitstamp chart. Nothing. So yeah, I'm not. That's the euro. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time marking this up. I will take a look at this and I will take. I'll go over this tomorrow. If you're in chat, jump in there and remind me you want to see it. But I literally have nothing on this chart. I would have to mark this up from scratch. The longer I sit on the chart, the more tempted I am to actually pull some levels here. I'll give you some simple analysis. All right, I'll give you some super simple stuff here, Diaz, so I don't waste a ton of time marking everything up. You got a monthly here. You got a monthly here. So 2 pretty high time frame levels, 2 monthlies. And you got a weekly here as well. I won't even mark this out. I'll just take the closer ones. Let's take a look here. So I could probably pull this as a volume profile. All right, here you go. And just like that, we have a little bit of a marked up chart, at least some local levels to look at. So you're holding above your POC. This is nice. You got your value area high. You got your POC. You got your value area low. There's your deviation below. POC, flip the value area low to support. I mean, your key level locally to hold here is the point of control. You could totally lose this and play around a little bit before finally filling the range. But currently you're holding the POC at about 2041. So the full fill would be looking to target this value area high eventually, but it doesn't mean you can't pull back again. You do have some confluence here on the weekly and value area low of your range. And you also have a weekly down here for some backup. So you can actually look at this as somewhat of a zone. So key level of support here on ETH Classic, if you get another bigger drop to the downside, is going to be $14.07 up to about $15. Yeah, and you have the 786 there as well, so I'll extend that up. So obviously, you know, you have the golden pocket monthly here as well. So these would be like 2 levels to look for higher lows. Bounce here could get you back above the POC to finally push into the value area high. If you lose the golden pocket, you're going to be looking down towards the 786, maybe a deviation below the value area low for another move up. These are the key levels to look at to the downside on ETH Classic. 1779 to 1662 and 1556 to 1414. That's what I would look at. Biggest major level of resistance isn't going to be until you get to that value area high. So there you go. You can screenshot some of these levels, Diaz. I'll try to take a little bit of a deeper look at this, and we'll go into a little bit more detail in tomorrow's live stream. I just don't want to spend all the time going through every single time frame, finding every single level, but there's a quick little chart that you can look at with major key levels. I'll even pull this anchored VWAP for you real quick as well, see if we have any confluence. All right, so POC. If you hold above this, doorway to the value area high is open. If you lose it, I'd be looking at these 2 zones for higher lows and higher highs. So shout out to Diaz. There you go. Hey, shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy, said Frankie Candles. You do. TA is a soothing voice, please. Shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy. And the biggest levels of support to look at are going to be this zone here, as well as this zone here. And my mouse is broken, as you can see here, guys. So definitely very calmly annoyed by that. Nothing too drastic. Trying to keep it nice and calm here, nice and soothing. Gonna have to upgrade the mouse there a little bit. So there you go. There's some analysis on Ethereum Classic. That is like the opposite. That is like the polar, a lot of it. That is like the polar opposite of my TA. I'm like, oh my God, guys, we're going to the POC. Shout out to Multi-Sig Dummy. 24-hour stream incoming. Shout out to Jesse. Yes, 24-hour stream incoming, guys. We're never getting off. I'm actually just kidding. Shout out to Jesse. Perfect timing, bro. 7:33. I think that's all the time we got for today's live stream, guys. Bitcoin. Last check-in here. If I could find it. Pull up a lower time frame here. Yeah, attempting to hold above this level, guys, but I'm not going to lie. Is that daily? Where's that daily red dot? Is it confirmed yet? No, we still got 26 minutes to confirm this daily red dot. But yeah, I mean, locally, guys, this is your key level of support. If we lose this, I'm looking for a potential drop down towards 113 to 112K. Honorable mention at 114,250. I prefer the bigger drop, to be quite honest. But this is the level. If we cannot hold this level of support, $115,000, I will be looking for another drop down. Biggest level I'm interested in is 113 to 112. That's what we're looking for. The daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover does make me a little bit suspicious that this is going to hold. That it makes me suspicious of losing this. If we hold it, great. I will hold my long position up into the 117.5 to 118.5 zone. If we dump, I will be looking for bounces at the 113 to 112K zone. 786, golden pocket, anchored VWAP, value area high. Daily MPOC, point of control of the range, golden pocket. Sitting on my hands, guys. Just holding that dang long position. Kind of just want to close this and open a new one just so I can, like, make money. So there we go, guys. But with all that being said, shout out to Diaz and Frankie and ASMR. Learn TA while you sleep. Yeah, shout out to Diaz. Yeah, it's so hard. It's like so I always try to keep the energy up because it is a very very intricate, technical, number data driven. If you guys ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street, I won't say what they're talking about, but he's like, you got to do it more than once a day, brother. You got to do it. You got to get those rookie numbers up. We're dealing with numbers, a lot of high frequency numbers, data in your head. It makes you go crazy. So we got to keep the energy up to keep people engaged. Shout out to Multi-Sync Down. He said, later, Frankie, catch ya on the flip side. 135K by September 22nd. Let's go. I hope so. Come on, baby. Let's do it. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in and hanging out till the end of the stream. Smash that like button on your way out. It takes 2 seconds, and we greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel a ton. And until tomorrow, guys, we'll see what FOMC brings us. But I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. If anything crazy happens, I'll drop a market update. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Hey, yeah. Dude, I need you to pump it. I know. But if you don't pump it tonight, pump it for FOMC. Just do it for us. Give us 130-ish, and then that's the last time you'll hear from me until next cycle. Hang on. All right, thanks. Mrs. Candles is here. Hang on one sec. All right, I'll talk to you. Hello? Okay, take this. I need you to deposit this. We need to send it to Coinbase, and we got to pump it. You got to do it, though. I got stuff to do. I got to go feed Phoebe. Here. Thank you. But why are you looking so mad? Don't take any off the top, Mrs. Candles. Don't do it. Don't do it. Take a 20. That's it, though. We got to pump this thing. Mafia's getting bored. Oh, all right. You don't have to slam the door in my face. Oh, hey, guys. We're going to try to pump it, guys. We're going to try to pump it. I don't know if it's enough. But we're going to try. I called Satoshi. He's going to dump a lot more in than I am. But we're going to go for it. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hasta pasta. That's all I got. I don't know. Go touch some grass. I'm going to go take a nap. Wake me up when Bitcoin moves. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out.